After Sunday's overtime win over the Cowboys, Aaron Rodgers admitted to having some frustration with head coach Matt LaFleur. And it took me back to after LaFleur got the job, how Rodgers very expertly turned it into a public thing about the freedom that he would have at the line of scrimmage to change the play. It was the audible thing. And I could just sense LaFleur was exasperated by this whole thing, that it was just already out of his control because Rodgers knew how to work it through the media to get his message out there. He was more direct with his message after the win over the Cowboys about frustrations late in the game with LaFleur's decisions. Here's Rodgers from Sunday.
Aaron, what were you so upset about at the last drive of regulation there coming off?
Just every single play call, probably.
Is there a reason those play calls were upsetting to you?
Yeah, I feel like we were like 30 yards from end of the game in regulation, and also felt like it was 2 minutes, so I was going to be calling those, and I was in a pretty good rhythm. Obviously didn't have a ton of attempts tonight, but I felt like I was in a pretty good rhythm. I felt like I threw the ball just about exactly where I wanted to tonight, and so I wanted a chance to go win the game.
He wanted to get the game over so he could go rob a bank somewhere. Again,
I kind of
all black.
I like the all black.
Every
I like
Sunday.
it. I know,
all
it's
black.
kind of funny. I don't know what's changed them, but yeah, here's the sequence of play calling. It certainly wasn't aggressive, that's for sure. You know, I mean, they were running the ball, but do you blame them, Mike? I mean, that's where I'll go. Like, wait, you're Green Bay Packers. Your offense hasn't been good all year long. You've talked about young guys not being able to trust them and people not doing the right thing. And you're coming off a game where you just turned the ball over a bunch of times, and you're playing the Dallas Cowboys, who are famous for making teams turn the ball over. So I'm not going to sit there and, be mad at Matt LaFleur for making that decision right there in that moment. I'm fine with it.
I think that, to me, how aggressive you are in a situation like that is driven so much by whether you're home or away.
Yeah.
Because if you're at home and you're going to overtime,
yeah, it's
I
a
feel
different
better
feel
about being conservative and being careful. Because one false move in that moment gives the Cowboys a chance to have a walk-off field goal, and you never get to overtime. But I'm more comfortable going to overtime with my home fan, my home crowd, my home field. It's just over time. If we're going to pay any attention to analytics over time, I would suspect that most teams have a better chance of winning overtime games at home than on the road. And so you're going to be a little more careful. Why wouldn't you be more careful? So I don't have a problem with that at all. If they were in Dallas for that, I'd be saying, why weren't you slinging it down the field
for it,
trying to steal this thing?
Right.
Yeah. I mean, they scored their touchdown that tied the game with too much time left to even consider going for two, but it's that same mindset. If you would score a touchdown at the very end of regulation and you have to decide to go for one and force overtime or two and win it, for me, the rule of thumb is if I'm home, I'm more likely to take one. If I'm on the road, I'm more likely to take two and just end it there. And also, like, how tired is my team? How banged up is my team? What plays do I have left? Do I feel confident that I can stop a touchdown on the first drive of overtime?
Right.
Other factors go
Yeah,
into it.
right.
But the frontline factor for me is home or away.
Yeah.
And I think it was smart for them to be conservative in that moment. And it worked. It worked. And in that moment, he was pissed because, he's thinking we go to overtime. We're just going to concede and they're going to beat us. But LaFleur was right, and his plan was vindicated.
Yeah, I mean, he was. And I think your point is real. I think the talk of, last week, and there's been mistakes on the offensive side of the ball from them all year long. The Cowboys, they create chaos and plays, and that's what they do. You add that into, in the fourth quarter, you kind of controlled the football game, Green Bay. Dallas was having a hard time moving the ball consistently. You take that into account. Hey, Joe Barry, defensive coordinator. Hey, yeah, we got a good. I got a good feel for him right now. We got him. We kind of know. We know what they're trying to do almost always. So I understand that logic. I do. The way the defense was playing and the way they were running the football and kind of controlling the line of scrimmage there, I understand it. One thing I think that would have been questioned would have been like, whoa, wait, we're getting in shotgun and throwing the ball against a team that's amazing at rushing the passer and creating tips and interceptions, and we're the team that's kind of been doing that and getting sacked, and we got a quarterback that won't be aggressive and necessarily throw the ball into tight windows and do all that right now. I think when you add all that together, I totally understand Matt LaFleur's decision.
Yeah, and bottom line is they get the win. They're 4-6. There's still a long way to go. I'm still getting used to
right?
17 games.
That extra game really makes it
weeks.
seem so different.
I mean, they still have 7 games left.
Yeah.
They've played 10, and they've got 7 games to go. Their bye is very late, and that can be a positive or a negative. I mean, some teams are going to peak too soon, and some teams are going to have an extra chance to figure their stuff out, get to the playoffs, and then be very dangerous in January. And I continue to believe the Packers – far more dangerous if they get their issues ironed out and get in as a wild card than if they're 1 seed and they're all tight. And, we've seen it the last 2 years. They're a little tight. You're worried about screwing up instead of just going out there and being loose like they were with the 6 seed back in 2010.
Right.
And they went on the road and won, on the road and won, on the road and won, and then won the Super Bowl. And the prospect of 2-seeded Vikings hosting the 7-seeded Packers is not a pleasant thought for anyone who is still enjoying Minnesota's win over the Bills from a few days ago, because that would be the ultimate dagger in that rivalry, to have the Packers roll in and completely destroy what Vikings fans are thinking is a special season. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.